Yo, sup dudes, my name's LJ, your teacher Rising 4, and today we're going to have a look at the full video of Surfing Made Easy from 1998. Here's the front, spine, profile picture of Mark Onchalupo, and the back. Here's the tape, and let's see the full video, shall we?
Seventy-one percent of planet Earth is covered by ocean. The winds form swells that travel thousands of kilometres until they reach the shallow shorelines and break. The magical wave is formed. Surfing is riding that wave. The beach is part of Australia's culture. It's a national icon, and our coastlines, reefs and marine ecosystems are rated as some of the best in the world. The energy that we all feel from spending time with the ocean can't really be explained, but learning to enjoy the beach more can. If you've ever wanted to learn to surf, in the next hour you will have all the introduction you need. We'll show you all the benefits of surfing and teach you the techniques that will have you standing up and riding that wave. You talk to surfers and you feel the buzz they get.
And I still get an incredible rush to paddle out and actually take off on a wave and stand up and feel the speed as you go down the face of the wave and feel that drive as you go into your first turn. It's just an incredible feeling, It's like I love living near the beach and I love going in the water so much that I can't imagine what I'd do without it.
If you can swim, you can surf. And the great thing is you don't have to be good at it to have fun. Traditionally, surfing was seen as a difficult sport, not for the faint-hearted.
We basically go out there and try and kill ourselves. We'd take off on the biggest, meanest, evilest waves we could find. Didn't matter if we fell off, we'd just go straight back out and do it again.
Today, people of all ages and stages are learning to surf. Just being in the ocean, the fresh air, getting fit and being close to nature. For surfers, it's a way of life, a passion and an interest that energises them like no other sport can do. Just look into the eyes of a surfer after a great session in the waves. Only a surfer knows that feeling.
I think the most important thing is to enjoy each surf as it comes. I have as much fun surfing now as I did when I started. Some of my favourite memories are from the first 2 weeks when I started surfing, so it's just important to enjoy it and have fun all the time.
You want to have fun learning to surf. Whether your ultimate goal is to surf like this or like this, the lessons in this video are the place to start. Having the right board, friendly waves, and getting some tips from a professional instructor is really important. It will save you lots of time, money and heartache and put you on the fast track to success. Even famous pro surfers like Australia's Serena Brooke use coaching to keep themselves at the highest level of the world's elite. Ross Phillips from Surf Schools International has been training Serena for a number of years. You may not be ready to tackle the Pro Tour just yet, but many of the lessons Serena has learned over the years can help you get closer to achieving whatever surfing dreams you may have. The surfboard. Choosing the right surfboard is the first step in making surfing easy. If you've been using the wrong board, surfing can be so difficult you'll want to give it up.
Definitely the most important thing is to get the right board, otherwise forget it.
Every surfer loves their surfboard. It's your tool of success, your best friend. Let's face it, without it, you can't surf. In 1915, the Duke Kanemaku, visiting from Hawaii, rode the first surfboard ever seen in Australia. Little did he know what effect his performance on that solid redwood board would have on our nation. Today he stands over Freshwater Beach in Sydney to remind us of his dream, that one day surfing would be recognised as an Olympic sport. Since then, surfing has become hugely popular and surfboard design has seen many changes. The heavy redwood planks were followed by longer hollow wooden boards up to 16 feet or over 5 metres in length. Next came boards made of lighter balsa wood called Malibus. They were much easier to handle until fiberglass and foam became the popular construction materials of the 50s.
Must have been the 60s, middle to late 60s, that Nat Young, Ted Spencer, Keith Paul and Bob McTavish, who actually is a great shaper living up at Byron Bay now, they actually started the surfboard revolution, and really all they did was started chopping 12 inches off the board at a time. Like they'd chop 12 inches off and go, well gee, this 10-footer goes good, let's make a 9-footer. And they kept going down to about, I think, 7 feet. So that was really the beginning of it.
These shorter boards allowed surfers to do more radical turns on a wave, and the shortboard of today is finely tuned for high-performance surfing. The modern Malibu, or longboard, has a rounded nose and is 8 feet or longer. They remain incredibly popular because they're easy to ride and lots of fun. To get the inside story on surfboards, we visited professional and long-time surfboard shaper Chris Garrett to find out the important things to look for when choosing your first board.
Well, a surfboard is basically a rough-shaped piece of urethane foam coated in fiberglass that moves along the water quite quickly, I suppose. It consists of a few basic parts, but the most obvious one is the nose and the tail. And the third obvious one is the rail, what we call the edges of the surfboard. And really there's 5 things that you should look for in a board if you're about to purchase one. And generally they can be summarised as the longer, the wider, the thicker, the cheaper, the better.
Hang on, let's hear that again.
The longer, the wider, the thicker, the cheaper, the better. The last two aren't really that important, really, because people waste a lot of money trying to get a cheap board and they end up with stuff that's not really good for them. Really, if you've got a good board, then you can do a lot more and you'll progress a lot better.
I remember when I was learning how to surf, I had a pretty big, thick, old, ugly single fin. Didn't look like much, but it was thick and it was stable and easy to paddle and catch a lot of waves, so it was pretty good.
Your first board should be a big, stable platform, something that's easy to paddle, easy to balance on, and allows you to surf successfully from day one. Time on your feet is the only way to learn to surf. You should be standing up and riding waves straight away.
Width is good because it'll stop the board rocking from rail to rail or side to side. And that's good because when you stand up, you really want to try and be as stable as possible.
If you want a board that's easy to balance on, it's got to be wide. Imagine a wide board as a barge and a thin board as a canoe. Which one would you rather be standing on? Of course, thinner boards are more manoeuvrable, but that's exactly what makes you fall off in the beginning. Thin boards are too unstable. Wide boards make standing easy.
Thickness is good because it gives you flotation, which stops the movement this way as well.
How thick is the board at its thickest point? The thicker the better. A thicker board is more buoyant. See where the thick board sits in the water compared to a thin one. The board will have less drag and more glide for fast paddling even if you are not fit. You'll be able to catch more waves, ride them further and stay out longer. This is what it's all about.
The length in a board will give you stability this way, like from nose to tail, which is really handy for paddling for waves, catching waves, and just generally paddling and stability that way.
Choose your board according to your natural athletic ability and your height and weight. If you stand up and reach your hand above your head, that is the absolute minimum length. If you think you're uncoordinated or unfit, you'll need a much longer board. Longer boards paddle well and allow more room for error. A shorter board will fly up from under your feet if you're not standing in exactly the right position. A long board is more forgiving and allows you time to improve your foot placement. It'll be harder to turn, but first things first. Master the basics of standing, and then you can choose to upgrade to a shorter and more manoeuvrable board later. That is if you want to. Longboarding offers a more relaxed style and will always be popular because of its emphasis on fun.
Mate, the problem always is trying to find a decent board for you to learn on, and there's always so much to pick from, but trying to find something that's right for you. Really what you were looking for is something that's a little bit taller than you to start with. It's really easy to pick. The good thing about this board is it's long, it's wide, and it's thick too. There's quite a fair bit of thickness in that. There's quite a fair bit of width in it. And another good thing about it is it's got a relatively flat deck, which is really important for stability. And Josh, I think this will be fine for you. If I was going to make a flip, I was going to get Roscoe on your board, for example, if you don't mind using it, do you, Ross? No. Okay. But really, these are the sort of things I would suggest are pretty good value. That's all of you, Ross. You're about, what, 5'10", half 10? Mate, I'd be looking at trying to, something like this would be ideal, just for the sheer fact that you can't reach the top. And that's not a bad place to start. The width is there. This one's 21.5 inches wide, which is quite wide. And the width is also at a tail, which is quite stable. It's wider than those two, which is another area that sort of people tend to discount as being ability to catch waves. The width in the nose really makes it easy to catch waves. So it gives you a lot of stability and taking off as well.
So you've worked out that your first board will be the key to your success. If you can sample different boards before you buy one, like borrowing or hiring, you'll get a better idea of what suits you. Your professional instructor will be able to tell you exactly what measurements you'll be needing in your first board. This can save you a lot of money. The best way to get the right board is to take a lesson at one of the surf schools listed in this video.
A lot of problem is with finding beginners boards is that people spend a lot of time looking through shops, end up totally confused and end up buying whatever they can find that suits the budget. And a lot of times they end up with just something that's not suited to their surfing.
Your first board will last you for at least a couple of years, but remember, your purchase is not forever. If you outgrow your board in 12 months, you can sell it and put that money towards a new one.
Most of my inquiries in the shop here, probably I'd say a good 30% of them are people looking for beginner boards, so there's no problem with the marketability trying to sell a second-hand board.
Both new and second-hand boards have their advantages. Second-hand boards are cheaper, of course, and when you're learning, you tend to knock your board around a bit. A new board can be customised to suit your exact requirements.
Dollars aren't that much of a problem. Buy yourself a custom board, get a shaper and make you a custom board, and tell them that you're a beginner, or a dead set beginner, or I can only catch the white water, or I can't even duck dive, whatever. Just say whatever it is that you're about, and talk to him, and he'll make your board to suit your ability.
Be honest. You have nothing to gain by exaggerating your ability. Tell them you're an absolute beginner and you want a board that's going to make life easy. If you choose to buy a second-hand or used board, start looking in surf shops, newspapers or pawnbrokers. Make sure the board is watertight and there are no cracks around the fins. Any ding should be repaired. So what's a ding? That's a ding.
Run your hands down the rails like this quite slowly and you'll pick up any dings in the rails because you're feeling it sharp and you go, oh, it must be dingy, there it is there.
You can do your own repairs by grabbing a ding repair kit from any surf shop or get a professional to do the job for you.
Yeah, this one here would require just for that ding there, this ding here, you're looking around about $30 for repairs. So if you see a board that's really good, what you want, second hand, and it fits your criteria of the length, width and thickness, and it's got a few dings on it, don't panic about it because you can repair them. You just got to pay a little bit more. So think about that when you're doing the price for when you're negotiating the price with the shop owner or the mate you're buying it off.
If it's not fixed properly, the foam inside will become waterlogged, making your board heavy and weak. your pride and joy may just eventually fall apart, so your surfboard doesn't have to cost a fortune.
This board here, just for example, was like a cheapie for a beginner, make us an offer. So basically the person who bought this probably offered us $20 for it. We just wanted to get rid of it.
Get a grip. Your board is made of fiberglass, and when it gets wet, it gets slippery. Good luck trying to stand up if you don't get some form of grip. For good grip, you can use wax or deck grip. Wax is cheap and works well, but it can melt. Keep it out of the hot sun, and after just one surf, wax gets slippery. Use a wax comb to rake over the wax to make it even grippier. Wax combs are also used to scrape off all the old wax when it gets grubby and slippery. Deck grip is a stick-on pad that's a bit more expensive but a really good form of grip. It won't get slippery, and the added bonus is it helps to protect your board from dings. But if you're not wearing a wetsuit or a rash shirt, it can tear up your bare skin and give you a painful rash that surfers hate. Get a leg rope. Without one, you'll waste a lot of time and energy chasing your loose board. You're also creating a danger for others. Single wrap Velcro is the safest and easy to get on and off. Your leash goes on the back foot with the cord to the outside so it won't get tangled up in your other foot. Here's a couple of simple techniques to save you from those embarrassing scenes on the way to the surf. Let's see that again. Too easy. The lesson, part 1. Once decked out with the tools for success, it's now time for the basic techniques to get you up on the board in the water. Positioning of the board is critical for quick and easy paddling and taking off. If you lie on the board in the wrong spot, nothing else will work. For faster paddling with less effort, the board needs to be flat. To do this, you need to find the sweet spot on your board and slide into this position every time.
Andrew, if I get you to slide on the board from the tail first, you should always come on from the tail first until you feel your toes just touching on the tail. Then you're about 90% correct. You should also check the nose. It should be about a hand space above the water. Andrew, I'll just get you to slide forward about that much. That's enough. That's your ideal paddling position.
If you lie too far forward, your nose will go under.
After flushing out the sinuses with some nasty nosedives, most beginners will compensate by lying too far back, but this makes the tail sit too low in the water and drags the board, making paddling slow and hard. Practice finding your sweet spot in the calm water so you can get balance organised before you attack the waves. Also practice sitting on the board and turning. You can see the sets coming sitting up and it gives your neck a rest. Sit slightly forward of the tail so the nose is out of the water and kick your legs to help balance. Don't sit sideways to swells or you'll get rolled off. To turn the board sitting up, rotate your legs in circles like an egg beater. To turn lying down, paddle forward with one hand and backwards with the other. A quick way to turn around is to sit up on the tail, lean, paddle and kick. It takes practice, but an ability to do this will help you to catch heaps more waves and progress quickly. Paddling is the most tiring part of learning to surf. Our arms are not used to it, but stick with it.
My arms were just getting really tired and I was just always being pushed back by the white water.
Short and fast.
Let's copy Andrew's paddling technique. He'll have a light cup in his hands and his strokes will be long and deep. It's important we learn to paddle out through the waves correctly. Otherwise we're going to waste a lot of energy and just get washed back to the beach.
I remember for me when I started, the hardest thing was just getting out there through the waves.
Now what we actually do is we walk out through the waves as far as we can, but when it gets about deeper than waist deep, we jump on the board and paddle. As the wave comes towards us, let's watch Andrew. Paddling towards the wave, here comes the wave, he grabs the rails and he lifts his body up. Notice his elbows are locked out straight and he's balancing on his knee, head high, the wave comes between his body and the surfboard. It's what we call a press up. Let's have a go. Okay, paddling now. Wave approaching, keep your board straight, lift, board, wave comes through, lie down, paddle, well done.
It takes practice. Just paddle fast and most importantly, keep your board straight. Perseverance is the key.
I remember when I was learning how to surf, it was just so hard. I was just frustrated all the time. I felt like giving up, but it all paid off in the end.
When the wave hits you, you need to have some forward paddling motion so you can punch into it.
Wave coming towards Robin. Okay, see how Robin got washed backwards then? Just because she didn't have any paddling speed. You need to paddle fast towards the wave and try to push through it. Big wave coming towards Zuka now. Let's see how she goes. Perfect. She kept her board really straight. That's great.
Your board needs to be straight. If you're being washed sideways, paddle faster and keep it straighter. As you venture out into larger surf, you'll need to learn to Eskimo roll or turn turtle. Paddle directly towards the wave. When it is 2 meters away, grab the rails near the nose and firmly roll the board upside down. Hang on tight as the wave passes overhead. You can even kick the tail up with your foot, which helps keep the nose down so that you don't lose the board. Slide on from the tail to get back on. If you're getting tired, turn your back to the wave and just let them hit you from behind. Don't let your board go. A loose board is dangerous to yourself and others, and it will drag you backwards. Throwing your board is dangerous, but if you need to, make sure there are no other surfers directly behind you. You see the good surfers duck diving.
Duck diving's great, but it's going to be near impossible on a big buoyant board.
Wait for experience and a smaller board before you attempt to use duck diving as a skill in the waves. Riding the whitewash. We all want to surf like this, down the unbroken face for the ride of your life. But first we have to start in the whitewater. You need to spend time standing and riding in the broken whitewater before you are ready to conquer the drop. The whitewash is easier because you can catch it from anywhere at any time. It's not steep and powerful like an unbroken swell, and timing and positioning are not as important. If the wave is already broken and rolling gently to the shore, it will give you plenty of time to get to your feet and work on your balance and your style.
Hey, let's have a look at how to catch the waves now. When you're learning to catch the whitewash, there's 5 points that I want you to remember. Number 1, we must choose a good wave, and it needs to be a white wave. If it's green, don't catch it, paddle backwards. We want to catch the broken whitewash. Josh nosedived there because he caught the green wave. That was just a little bit steep for him.
Pick a nice single straight wall of wash about knee to chest high. Try to go for a single wave as well. A lot of bunched up or little cross waves will push your board off course. Choose your wave carefully. Whitewash that's not too big to start with. Give yourself plenty of time to get organised. If you're in the shallows, just stand up and turn the board to face the shore. Otherwise, turn the board by paddling.
We're only going to know it's a good wave if we're watching behind us. So look over your shoulder and watch the wave approach.
This is really important. Look over both shoulders so you know how far away the wave is. Looking will also give you a better idea of where you are on a wave when you start surfing unbroken waves. If you can't see the wave approaching, you won't know when to start paddling. Look around and be observant. Make sure you look for other surfers behind you and in front of you.
The wave is not just going to come along and collect us, we have to paddle very fast to catch it. When the wave is about 2 or 3 meters behind us, we're watching and we can see, we start to paddle. Slowly at first and then quickly. Then, just as the wave hits us in the feet, we should be paddling at full speed.
Just as the wave hits you from behind, put in an extra 2 or 3 powerful strokes to make sure you can catch it. The faster you paddle, the better.
Just for a couple more strokes, you'll feel an acceleration. You've caught the wave and stop and relax and you're surfing. on your tummy, of course, for now. Okay, let's just practice that here on the beach very quickly. Okay, point number one, we're ready. Lying on the board, watching behind us, whitewash coming, 2 or 3 metres away, paddle now. Okay, faster, faster. Whitewash hits you, couple of big strokes, and you've caught it.
Get used to the movements of the board on the wave and how it changes by riding the whitewater on your tummy. If you are constantly missing the waves, you must be lying too far on the back of the board and slowing it down. Make sure you paddle with long, deep strokes and keep paddling until you feel the wave take over and accelerate. If you are doing everything right and choosing waves with plenty of momentum and still have no luck, try an even bigger board and see if it helps.
It can be easy to have a nosedive. Some waves are a little bit steeper than others. To stop that happening, just as the wave hits you from behind, I want you to keep paddling, but lift your chest and arch your back. That will put the weight back here and keep the nose up.
Remember to lift your chest and arch your back. Move your body further back on the board. And remember, you want a hand space between the nose of the board and the water. No more, no less.
Let's try. Paddling, wave coming, lift your chest, arch your back. Good, good Josh, well done. That will stop the nosedive and give you a nice safe ride.
Turning the board. Turning is handy, especially when you have to dodge obstacles like other surfers. A surfboard turns simply by tilting the rails into the water.
And as we're riding the wave, we probably want to control where we're going and actually turn. To do that, grab the rails, slide back a bit, do that with me, slide back, and then lean onto your hip, tilt the board, and that will turn you in that direction. Lean the other way to turn left, this way to turn to the right. Let's watch Andrew catch this wave. Board straight, lifting his chest so he doesn't nosedive, leaning from the hips, nice control on the board, makes those turns look really easy because his weight's at the back.
You need to be able to stop in a hurry to avoid running people over or to avoid surfing up onto dry sand.
And to stop, you just slide back onto our knees on the tail. And that's your break. Sinking the tail will stop you before you hit the sand. Here goes Josh. Oh, good turn, Josh. And he had his knees at the back to break. Well done.
Another way is just to perform a long, sharp turn with lots of weight on your back foot. Safety. We can have fun in the surf, but safety is always the #1 priority. We must never underestimate the power of the ocean or lose respect for what it is, nature at its greatest.
When you get out of the water for a long time, when you come back, you feel really small. You feel like you're like a little tiny speck, which we are, compared to that big ocean out there.
Always wear sunscreen. Skin cancer is a growing concern, and in the ocean, you get a double dose of UV rays from the reflection off the water. Reapply a high SPF waterproof sunscreen every couple of hours. Here's a tip. Use zinc on your forehead. You know how your eyes sting in the surf? It's probably the sunscreen washing off your forehead and into your eyes. Drink heaps of water. You may feel cool, but you need to keep your fluids up. Be a good swimmer.
So I think the most important thing is, if you're a young guy or a girl that's interested in surfing, is to be confident of your swimming ability and to be a really good swimmer. Because if you can swim, nothing can ever go wrong. You know, even if you get caught in a rip and get dragged out to sea, as long as you can swim, you can either get back in or you can wave and, get someone's attention and get dragged back to the beach.
Recognise rip currents. A rip is where the water from incoming waves moves out the back after it's broken. The water may be choppy, look darker, and the waves may look full and break irregularly or not at all. It can have a very strong pull and drag you out with it. If you get caught, Don't panic. Signal for help by waving one arm and just let it take you out until you can swim across the current and come in with the waves. Surf lifesavers are trained to recognise dangers in the surf. Obey the signs for surfcraft and swimmer designated areas. Don't surf between the flags. If you join a surf club, you can become a volunteer and be properly trained in rescue techniques. You may be able to save someone's life one day. Wipe out safely.
You know, relax. If you wipe out, if you sort of fight a wave, I think that's when you're in trouble. You've actually got to relax and sort of go with it. And I don't think, you know, not many people drown. Like statistically, it's only people that put themselves in a dangerous situation that don't have a lot of experience with the ocean and that aren't competent swimmers that actually get into trouble.
If you fall and you're going to fall, try and fall away from your board. Wait underwater until you feel the board is still. When you come up, cover your face with your arms in case it comes back and hits you. Dive deep. In big surf, dive deep to get away from the turbulence. There is a distinct line when the water is calm under a breaking wave. Never surf alone, but as a beginner, avoid crowds.
People, if they can't surf that good, they should just go to where there's not many people around and learn to get good, and rather than just paddle out where there's a lot of people, a lot of surfers and good surfers, you know, and the waves are probably quite dangerous because the good surfers look for the more critical waves, so that if it's close to rocks or if it's dumping, you know, and there's good surfers out there having a good time, the intermediate surfers shouldn't go out there. You should just stick to the waves where they're soft and rolly, where they can learn, and one day they'll be able to get out there and ride the tubes and everything.
Be aware, if you paddle out right behind another surfer, they will get washed back and end up on top of you. Move to the side and follow a clear path. Same principle applies with your board. Keep it out to the side when you are entering the surf, otherwise it will knock you down. Wear a leg rope. A loose board is dangerous to others and yourself. Avoid the impact zone. The impact zone is where the wave breaks. If you get too close, the wave will break right on you, snap your board, and most likely break you too. Warm up. Surfing is a physical sport and you need to stretch to avoid injury and to improve your fitness. Have a safe surfboard. Avoid sharp edges on your board. If you think the fins are too sharp, sand them back to blunt them. Use a rubber nose guard and you can sand a sharp nose back. Gaff helmets protect your noggin from your board, other people and rocks or reefs. Unrepaired dings and jagged edges can cut you. Keep them repaired and you'll get longer out of your board and your body. Be aware of sharks.
Like there's much more chance of dying in a road accident than there is of drowning or being attacked by a shark.
Sharks are there. It's their backyard. But overcoming that fear is part of the challenge of surfing. To avoid danger, don't surf in areas where they frequent. Don't surf at dusk. It's their feeding time. Don't surf alone and get out if you see lots of fish being chased. Stay away from river mouths and don't pee in your wetsuit. Watch out for stingers. If there are stingers on the shoreline, they are probably in the water. Lifeguards have ice and know how to treat a sting. Be sensible and have fun. Be aware and use your common sense. Know your limits, go hard, and enjoy a long and happy surfing life. The lesson, part 2. Most people think that standing up is the hardest part of surfing. But once you get the hang of it, you'll see how easy it is. There are 2 techniques to standing up. One way is a quick spring to your feet. It's easier for people with reasonable upper body strength because it's a fairly fast move. The other way is to slide and stand. It's a bit slower, but doesn't require that upper body strength or power, and with practice, it will lead into the spring technique.
There's 2 techniques. I'm going to show them both to you. So let's lie down on the sand, getting nice and sandy. Okay. Remember, we still have to paddle and catch the wave. Place your hands on the rails, elbows up. Just tuck your hands in near your armpits. It's a push-up position. Okay, we're going to try the first technique where we slide our back foot on the board. Do that now, if you can't see. Slide your back foot up and we lift, swing the front foot through and crouch. Okay, now the back foot stays in position, it doesn't move. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, let's do the paddle. Elbows ready, hands ready. Slide the foot and lift and crouch. Well done. Good.
It's easy to develop bad habits. For now it seems harmless to use your knees to get up. When you start taking the drop, you will be too slow to your feet and get frustrated at your lack of progress. Put in the hard work now and use the correct technique before bad habits are formed. Stand up as soon as you catch the wave. You'll know when you feel a sudden acceleration and the wave takes over your paddling efforts. If you take too long, you will lose momentum, and if you stand up too early, the weight change will slow you down and sink your board. Springing to your feet will come naturally after time. If you feel strong, try it to start with. Grab the rails with your hands just under your armpits. Now quickly extend your arms and spring to your feet all in one movement. Your arms are your springboards. It does take practice and it must all be done in one motion, arms and legs together. Your back foot will land slightly at first, at 45 degrees, and you can place your front foot anywhere it's comfortable. Keep your feet wide apart. Just wider than shoulder width is ideal. If you feel unbalanced, just put your feet wider apart. The wider the feet, the more stable you will feel, with equal weight on both feet. It's harder to turn, but it all comes with practice.
Right, we've drawn our surfboards in the sand with our centre line and we're going to pretend that we're riding the boards. First of all, I want to show you your actual standing position on the board. Copy me. We stand in the centre of the board, one foot at the front, one foot at the back. Spread your feet nice and wide to give you good balance. And bend your knees and crouch. Okay? By lowering your weight, that also improves your balance. Makes it easier to stay on the board. Now your front foot should be actually pointing forward about 45 degrees. And your back foot at 90 degrees. Your shoulders are parallel with the board. Good. Robin, just straighten up there a little bit like that. That's it, and bend your knees. Good. Chris, come here. Bend your shoulders around like that. Good. Bend your knees. Good, Sarah. Excellent.
You'll feel awkward at first and have a stack of wipeouts, but you'll be standing and riding the wave if you stick it out.
So we're up on the board and we're surfing. It's possible that you're going to lose your balance. Okay? Don't just jump off. What do you think you might do if you lose your balance? Bend your knees and go lower. Let's try that here in the sand. Falling, crouch. Falling, crouch. Keep low. You can even touch your hands on the surfboard like this. Gives you extra balance. Okay, and as you feel more comfortable, come up to here. And if you're really comfortable, right up. But falling, go low again. Okay, bend those knees, bend those knees. Touch the board, try it again. Bend the knees, touch the board. Good, good.
Bend your knees and crouch low. The lower your centre of gravity is, the more stable you will be on your board. If you feel yourself falling off, just bend your knees and crouch lower.
Woo, well done. Bend those knees, bend those knees. She's getting up nice and quickly. A bit more knee bend will give her a longer ride because she'll be more stable.
So which foot is forward? It should come naturally as you start to stand. If you've got your right foot forward, they'll call you a goofy footer. And if you've got your left foot forward, you're a natural. If you get confused, just grab a football and give it a kick. Try using your kicking foot as the back foot on your board. The leg rope is going to go on your back foot. Waves. Any surfer will tell you, the waves are made just for them, to rip and carve. making them stoked and content with life. It's the wind that forms the waves. Waves start as oceans swell. The wind blows across the ocean, breaking up the surface. This small chop builds to swell and can travel thousands of kilometres as a transfer of energy. The swells travel in sets or groups and break when the ocean floor shallows and forces the body of water upwards. It peaks and trips over itself. This is where the surfer comes into the picture, riding these swells just as they break. You can successfully surf two types of waves, the plunging wave and the spilling wave. You can try and surf anything you like, but most probably with dire consequences. The plunging or throwing wave is more for the experienced surfer. When the ocean floor becomes shallow very suddenly, the wave will break quickly with lots of force and power, forming perfect tubes or steep drops. If the whitewater bounces higher than the wave itself, it's a plunging wave. It's moving too fast and is too sucky, heavy and gnarly for the beginner. Go for waves that are breaking slowly and gently. The full or spilling wave is what you're looking for. When the ocean floor becomes shallow gradually, it makes the wave face flatter, so the lip or top of the wave rolls and spills gently down the face. A good safe wave for learning that won't break your back, board or you. As an absolute beginner, you'll make the most progress in the whitewash after the wave has broken. Get a feel for how the board rides the wave and test your balance by standing up in the whitewash with plenty of distance from the shore for a long ride. Pick a beach with a sandy bottom and avoid rocks so you don't work yourself when you take all those wipeouts. As you start to get the hang of surfing, look for an unbroken spilling wave about knee to chest high so the drop is not too big. Watch the wave and see if it peels to the left or the right. As you face the beach, it will be breaking either towards your left or towards your right, so you can angle across the face and stay in front of the curl, the breaking part of the wave. Some waves break across too fast or all at once. These are called closeouts, and unless you are surfing the whitewash, you can't surf these waves. They rise and break far too quickly and the lip tips over all at once. It takes time to work out exactly what waves you should be surfing and where to find them.
Looks like here, yeah. Looks like there's some little stars getting in up there. The wind's good.
Yeah.
Be right. Yeah.
Nice day.
Yeah.
Be patient and watch the surf as much as you can, even when you're not going out. Get to know the wave types and the conditions at the beach. Different locations produce different conditions depending on what's on the bottom. The beach break has a sandy bottom. The sand moves around on the ocean floor with the currents. If the sandbanks are very straight, the waves will close out. If they are angled in relation to the beach, the waves should peel left to right or right to left. Point breaks are rocky headlands where waves peel predictably in one direction, away from the rocks towards the deeper water. They usually have long rides and paddling is easier because you can paddle around the breaking waves, but sometimes the current is stronger. Be careful entering the water off rocks. If you have confidence, wait for a lull in the sets, hold your leg rope and jump over the last wave. It can be dangerous for beginners. The reef break is a wave that breaks over rocks and coral. It can be perfectly angled to create perfectly shaped waves, but because the rocks make the bottom shallow suddenly, the waves are sucky and steep, too steep and dangerous for a beginner. Give yourself a few months before you tackle a reef break.
Well, let's get things rolling with a look at
Know the weather conditions before you go out. A surfer never talks during the weather report. You have to check the winds, pressure systems, tides and swell direction. All valuable information if you are planning a day in the waves. Understand which way the winds are blowing. Offshore, from the land to the sea, or onshore, from the sea onto the land. Look at the isobars on the weather map to determine wind direction. The closer together they are, the stronger the wind and depending on a high or low pressure system, the direction will change. A high blows anti-clockwise and a low clockwise. It's opposite in the northern hemisphere. Strong winds can create waves without incoming ground swell called wind swell. The ideal wind condition is offshore. The wind blows off the land and against the face of the wave, holding the face up and making it break later. The ocean looks smooth and glassy, and the waves will be more predictable and evenly spaced. Look for the telltale signs of spray blowing off the back of the wave to recognise an offshore breeze, usually early mornings or late afternoons when the land is changing temperature. Onshore winds are there to spoil a surfer's fun. As they blow off the sea onto land, they push the waves over too early, chop up the ocean and make waves unpredictable. But headlands along the coastline can protect the waves from these winds. If one side is onshore and choppy, the other side could be clean and perfect. Tides are a twice daily movement of the ocean caused by the Earth's gravitational pull. Get to know how the beaches you surf are affected by the high and low tide. High being water moving in, bringing deep water, and on low tide, the water is shallow. Some places only break on either high or low tides. And if you find a wave that's a bit too sucky and steep, wait for high tide. It might make it fuller and slower, perfect for the beginner surfer. So we know that winds blowing across the ocean create a chop that can build into swells and travel until it hits a shallow bottom and breaks. Now it gets a bit more technical. Try to understand about swell direction so you know where to find the best waves. The swell approaches the shore from different directions depending on its origin. Because the coastline is at all different angles, the swell hits the shore and gets refracted by headlands, so the wave actually wraps around the land. For example, here the swell is coming up the coast from the south. It bends around a headland to become a smaller, more gentle peeling point break. Here the conditions are opposite. A northeast swell peeling around a headland and getting smaller and less powerful. If the swell was directly from the east, there is no headland to affect it. The bottom would need contoured sandbanks or reefs to get the perfect beach break. If the swell is too big and strong, hunt around for a sheltered headland and you may just find that ideal beginner wave. Choosing where and when to go surfing is a tricky combination of all these factors: wind and swell direction, wave size, what's on the bottom, and tides. That's why those perfect days are so rare. With practice, you will become more accurate at reading the conditions and get the best waves possible. When you finally get it all perfect, you will have one of the best surfs of your life. It will be a day to remember. The lesson, part 3. Master the basics of standing up in the whitewater and riding all the way to the beach without falling off. As a general rule, pick slower moving waves so you have a long, gentle ride to the beach. The longer the ride, the more time you will have to move your weight around the board and the wave. If the wave is losing power and slowing down, you can move your weight forward and pump the board with your knees for extra speed. To slow it down, sink the tail with the weight at the back. If you rock the board from rail to rail, you will be able to turn. Same as turning on your tummy. If you can tilt the rails into the water standing up, your board will turn in that direction. To turn standing up, you need to use your weight, your knees and ankles to tilt the board. Make sure your back foot is over the fins and put most of your weight on the back by bending your back knee. At the same time, the nose of the board should lift out of the water. The less board in the water, the easier it is to turn. Look to where you want to go and twist your shoulders so they are pointing side on to the direction you are planning to turn. To turn, you aim to put the surfboard on its rail on the side you want to turn to. Lean onto your heels or your toes by bending your knees and rolling your ankles to tilt the board. Using your knees applies more force to help sink the rails, which is what makes the board turn. To turn forwards, put weight over your toes by pushing your knees towards the water and rolling the ankle forward. To turn backwards, squat with your backside low and roll your ankles back onto your heels. Don't use your hips too much. You need the force to come from your knees and ankles to tilt the board. Crouch down low for balance and bend your knees to keep the weight over the back foot until after the turn. If you are not putting enough weight over your back foot, you'll have a lot of trouble turning. Putting too much weight on the front foot will dig the rails in too far forward.
Almost nose dived and you saw the spray coming off the front of the roll. He just kept his weight on his back foot and he just kept it going and he got a really good ride in there. So, well done, Tim.
If you keep falling off as you turn, you may be using too much weight and digging the rails in too deep, or bending from the waist and not your knees, and your body is being left behind in the turn. At this stage, you will start facing forehand or backhand to the wave, depending on your stance, goofy or natural. Forehand is surfing facing the wave. Backhand is your back to the wave. Make sure you turn both ways confidently so you don't limit the breaks you surf when you take the drop. Taking the drop and tearing in front of the curl with the wave forming in front of you and breaking behind you is the real thing. Once you're confidently getting to your feet and can ride the whitewater all the way to the beach without falling off, it's time to drop into some green waves before they break. Wave selection is more important when you are taking off on the green unbroken wave. Which way is the wave peeling? That will determine the direction you'll be taking off, forehand or backhand. Is it a slow spilling wave? High tide brings deep water, so it may be fuller and less steep. If you catch a steep, sucky, plunging wave, you will drop too quickly and wipe out. If it closes out or breaks all at once, you'll have nothing to surf but whitewash. Choose a good spot to set yourself up for the takeoff. Sit just beyond where the wave breaks and aim to be standing up just a second or two before it topples and breaks. The earlier you catch the wave, the better. You'll have more time to jump to your feet and the wave won't be too steep and scary. That's why big thick boards are so easy with fast paddling speed. A huge stumbling block for beginners is that they lie with their back to the approaching wave and wait for it to come to them. The break will change shape all the time, so keep on the move. Sit up on your board so you can see the swells approaching. Paddle towards the wave and be ready to spin and catch it. Judging where to sit and where to take off can take a lifetime to perfect. Mother Nature has a mind of her own. Be determined. If you've chosen a good wave and positioned yourself correctly, takeoff will be easy. Watch the wave over your shoulder. Is there already a surfer riding it? If so, don't catch it. When it's 2 to 3 meters away, start to paddle, slowly at first, and building up momentum. You need paddling speed. Take 2 or 3 really fast and strong paddles. Don't stand up too early. Go by feel. When you feel the tail lift and a sudden acceleration, this is crunch time. Jump to your feet. Keep a low, wide stance and lean forward a bit as you drop. If you are falling off the back of the board, you are not leaning forward enough. It takes a lot of practice, but if you keep trying, you will make it.
You're really going to have to stick to it. Surfing's taught me a lot of patience.
If you realise you've chosen a bad wave, at the last minute, pull out by paddling backwards, sitting up, or sinking the tail. It's better to wait for a good wave than to have a bad wipeout. Now, as you become the master of the drop with speed and agility like Serena has, you'll want to start manoeuvring. For starters, try the angled takeoff. Instead of facing your board to the shore on takeoff, point your board on an angle, the same way the wave is breaking. When you take off, you will drop across the face and surf the wave as it is forming in front of you. You have to try to stay ahead of the breaking part of the wave by adjusting your speed. Like longboard riding, moving your weight forward will speed the board up to get in front of the breaking part of the wave. Putting your weight back and sinking the tail slows you down to bring you back closer to the break. Now you are surfing, riding the magical wave, taking the drop and riding across the face. Everyone will have their own ideas on what they want from surfing. You can take it easy or you can take it all the way. Your surf coach can teach you the secrets when you feel you are confident and ready. Until then, stick with the basic stable platform until you've mastered the bottom turn, re-entry and cut back.
The ocean, geez. Yeah, it'll sound pretty cosmic, but I love it. I actually don't feel myself, or I don't actually feel normal if I don't get to go in the water every day.
Oh, I love the ocean. You know, it gives so much to me that I want to try and you know, is all I can to help it. So I don't know, in Europe it's pretty bad. I went to Portugal and France, and mainly Portugal, like, they just treat their beaches like the rubbish dump, and that's really sad to see. Australia's good, it's the best in the world, but I still we should be a leading example for everyone, just to, you know, like, just wake up and just don't litter and just don't be lazy. Just everything that you throw in the drains and near drains and gutters and stuff ends up coming through the stormwater drain after we have rain, and just ends up in our beaches, and all the plastic, and goes in the ocean, all the fishes eat it and they die and everything. And you know, there's heaps of other things though, isn't there, to keep it clean, like don't put any oil or down the sink and nothing like that down your own sink at home. And
so that's another thing you can do, you know, like pick up your mess after you if you go to the beach. I find a lot of the time when I go for a surf early in the morning, especially during summer, you know, people have got some like Macca's takeaway or Kentucky Fried or Henny Penny or something, and they've actually, you know, had a meal on the beach, and they leave everything on the beach, like all the scraps and the cardboard and the rubbish is actually left there.
You know, you've got to stay off the dunes if they're trying to, you know, regrow and trying to save the dunes where it's blocked off. You shouldn't be hopping fences or anything.
If you've got a dog and you take a dog for a run on the beach, and you know the dog's on the beach, like don't leave it on the beach, take a plastic bag with you and pick it up. We're very fortunate to live in this country. I think we have like a beautiful country here. We have a very small population, and I don't think we've reached the point of no return, like, you know, maybe Europe, America or Japan. You know, I think that we could be an environmental model for the rest of the world, because, you know, I think we have the resources and the manpower and you know, everything to do it. It's just, you know, trying to make those politicians think beyond the dreaded dollar and think about, you know, what sort of country and what sort of environment we'll be leaving for our kids.
Wetsuits and rash shirts are designed for warmth, sun protection, and to stop the board rubbing on your bare skin, which can cause a painful rash. There are lots of different kinds of wetsuits for different surfing conditions. Suits are made from neoprene material. They come in different combinations of thickness. The colder the water you're surfing in, the thicker the wetsuit you'll need. For example, a 32mm is 3mm thick around the chest, back and legs, and 2mm under the arms. A bit thinner for flexibility and easy paddling. Let's look at some different wetsuits and when you need them. The Lycra rash shirt, or rashie, is used in warm water surfing to stop sunburn and board rash. The short john for cooler days in warmer climates. A spring suit can have long or short sleeves and is used in cool conditions. The short sleeve steamer will keep you warm while still allowing easy paddling. And the all-out full suit or steamer is warm for cold conditions. The shiny smooth skin neoprene, or smoothie, blocks out the wind more than standard neoprene. You can keep adding boots, gloves and hoods. Some people go a bit overboard. Keep in mind, long sleeve wetties are hard to paddle because of the extra weight when they're wet. It's always a trade-off between warmth and flexibility. When trying on any suit, it should fit firmly.
If your suit's fitting, you'll freeze. Make sure it hugs your body.
In the shop, you should be able to move around and stretch a little bit. You should be able to grab no more than a handful of neoprene. Remember, wetsuits stretch when they are wet. Look after your wetsuit so it will last a long time. Rinse it in fresh water after each surf and hang it inside out in the shade. Leaving it in the sun will wreck the neoprene. The best wetsuit to get is a modern suit made by a surfing wetsuit company. Water ski or dive suits are not designed for surfing and don't allow enough freedom of movement. Older style suits are cheaper but get stiff with age. The modern day cut is a big improvement on suits made 5 or 10 years ago. You can buy suits off the rack or get one especially designed to suit your body shape. Remember, a well-fitting wetsuit will keep you warm and stop you getting tired too quickly, so you can catch more waves and have more fun. As a surfer, there's a code of conduct you'll be expected to know when you enter the water. The same rules apply at any beach, anywhere in the world. Only one rider per wave. The surfer that takes off closest to where the wave is breaking has the right of way. If you take off outside the surfer on the wave, you are dropping in. A dangerous and much hated act. Never drop in.
Dropping's are the worst. Don't do it. Just remember to look out for other surfers.
If the wave is peeling off in both directions, you can have one surfer going right and one surfer going left, just not two the same way. When you are paddling out, try to paddle wide around the break, giving the surfers plenty of room to enjoy their ride. If you can't get out of their way, paddle towards the break and behind the surfer's ride. It means you'll cop the whitewash, but it's better etiquette and much safer. The rider of the wave has the responsibility of avoiding a collision by dodging other surfers and swimmers. If you are not confident you can control the board and you see an obstacle ahead, bail out before an accident happens. Surfboards can be lethal weapons. Be responsible. Learning to surf is tougher than most people expect. Everyone has to go through a period called paying your dues. Be prepared to give way to everyone whilst you are learning. Be patient and polite, but be determined too.
It can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you're learning, because they're sort of a pecking order in the water, and the better surfers get the better waves, the worse the surfers sort of get the leftovers, and that can become frustrating. But the more you do it, the better you get, and at some stage you'll get to the point where you're fairly high up on the pecking order. And it's such a great feeling to ride a wave, and it's great exercise, and it's something you can do for the rest of your life.
Show respect to local surfers, older surfers and talented surfers. They've all paid some serious dues in their time. Respect surfers for who they are, not what they ride. It may take years, but good things take time.
Yeah, it's a bit like, I guess, riding a bike. You know, the first time you get on a bike, when you're a kid, you probably fall off and go splat on the ground and take off a bit of skin. But if you don't get back on it and keep doing it, you'll never actually master it. So I think the important thing is just to have fun and keep at it and persevere.
Bodyboarder, shortboarder, longboarder. The ocean is free for all of us to enjoy.
I don't know. Everyone's out there to have fun, and it's free for everyone, the ocean. As long as they take care of it, we'll be able to, keep on doing it as long as they want.
So there you have it. Now you know enough about surfing to grab a board, find a wave, get out there and start riding. This is just the start. You will never stop learning. You will always be challenged, and you definitely won't get bored. You haven't chosen the easiest sport, so be patient and keep at it. If you really want to improve faster and ride the best waves of your life, contact your nearest surf school listed in this video. They will offer a program of courses that make it easy for you to achieve your surfing dreams. Start with a beginner course of lessons. Join a Learn to Surf camp, or even take yourself on an overseas surfing improvement holiday. Imagine yourself surfing 100-metre long dream waves with nobody but your coach and fellow students in the tropical warm waters of the Maldives or Bali. It's definitely your fast track to success, so give them a call. You can join the Surf Schools International Club. You'll get 4 issues of the Surfing Improvement newsletter and over $500 in discounts on surf gear. So good luck and happy surfing. Learn all you can and stick with it. We hope you enjoy the fantastic benefits our sport has to offer.
And there you go. That was the full video of Surfing Made Easy from 1998. And I hope you had fun learning how to surf as much as I have. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and smack that notification bell when a new video pops up. and I'll see you in the next one.